I am in the Volvo EX90 right now and about to embark on a road trip from Johannesburg all the way through to Clarens. It's a 400-kilometer drive, and I'm going to be very interested to see how the EX90 performs on a longer road trip like this. The idea is to go down the N3. I'm going to be stopping at the Thanda Tau Rubicon charge station. There's a 100 kilowatt DC charger there. But from there, probably go straight through to Clarens, but go via Harrismith. That means it'll take just over 4 hours to get there with the charging stop included. So here's the Google Maps basically simulating the trip from Johannesburg all the way through to Clarens. You can see here that it's telling me that I should arrive at the Thanda Tau charge station with 46% battery. Recommended 10-minute charge session. I should leave the Thanda Tau charging station with 61%, pass through Harrismith with 40%, and arrive at Clarens with 18%. So that's basically the charging plan and the route plan. Very well integrated into the dashboard of the car, and with Volvo working very closely with Google, this is great to know that you are constantly able to monitor your destination state of charge. I will keep you updated as we go along with when we charge, how long we're going to charge for, and how many kilowatt hours and what percentage we add to the vehicle. The idea being that there is a AC charge station in Clarens, so once you're there, you can park the car and just charge one afternoon or even overnight if needed to get back to 100%. See you on the road. Driving for about an hour and 15 minutes. We've left Joburg. We caught a little bit of traffic, but just an update. Current range remaining here is 370 kilometers with a battery percentage at 81%. Considering that we left at that time, we've now got 105 kilometers to go, just under an hour to get to the Sasol Thanda Tau recharge station. If you remember, we started at 46% projected state of charge there. We're now up to 54%. So just with the slower driving and the regeneration, we've actually gained another 8% of battery charge, which was to be expected, especially going through the slower traffic. If you have a look here quickly at some of the range data that we've done so far, 19 kilowatt hours average, done 110 kilometers. So if you take that 110 kilometers and you add it to the 370, we actually have a range estimate of 480 kilometers. Remember, we started with 440. So it just shows you how you gain range along the way, particularly on a road trip. When you're doing an EV road trip, it's so important that you just don't exceed massive speeds. If you're going to go over 120 or even up to 130, you're going to be using more power than you would if you're at say 110, 115. So it's really important when you do an EV road trip just to enjoy the drive, let the car do the driving for you, and I can guarantee you're going to arrive at your destination far more relaxed than if you were trying to race with an EV. So next update when we get to the charge station, but that's where we are now, about an hour to go. Reversed in, and I've noticed we have an EX30 that's also charging at the Rubicon 100 kilowatt charger. His state of charge is at 93%, so it shouldn't be much longer. I'm going to plug in so long, but what happens when you've got two EVs sharing a charger is that the energy is split. I want to get an additional 20% battery charge. I want to go from 60% to 80%, and that should give me more than enough charge to get through to Clarens. And I also don't want to spend more than 20 minutes here like you normally would at a petrol station. So let's go through it and see what we can do. It's only charging at 25 kilowatts at the moment. The other EX30 there should be nearly finished. He's on 95% and charging at 48 kilowatts. So I was sitting at about 25 kilowatts for about 10 minutes, but it's shot up to 75 kilowatts now. And I expect that in the next 10 minutes or so, we should be able to get going. So here we are at the Thanda Tau Rubicon 100 kilowatt charger. And as luck would have it, I've run into a fellow EX30 owner, Pan. How's it, Pan? Nice to see you on the road.
Very, very nice to meet you here and to see the big brother of our car. Pleasant.
Absolutely. So Pan's got his EX30, just charged up to 100%, and I've got the EX90. Pan, you're on your way to Durban for Comrades.
We're on our way to Durban. Our son is doing the Comrades, so we're going to support him. Between my wife, Alta, and myself, we've done 25 Comrades ourselves.
Fantastic.
So we always said one day we want to sit next to the road and watch the athletes, and this is the year that we're going to do it. So very excited about it.
Fantastic. No, fantastic. So I'm on the way to Clarens in the EX90. Pan's on the way to Durban in the EX30. And what a pleasure to drive EVs on long-range trips, eh?
We really enjoy the car so much. Such a pleasant car, easy to drive, very reactive, and very excited that we purchased it.
Well, all the best for the trip.
Yeah,
great to meet you here.
Nice meeting.
We'll see you again soon.
Ciao.
Okay, so we've just finished the charge session here at Thanda Tau. I'm up to 80% now, 380 kilometers of range. And the next stop that we're going to make is directly into Clarens. We're not needing to stop again. That trip is 197 kilometers away, 2 hours and 20 minutes, it's telling me. And the destination state of charge when we get there is saying 35%, which is well under control, and I don't expect to have any issues. In fact, I expect to arrive there with more than 40%. So let's see. So off we can go, and we'll see you in Clarens. So 200 kilometers left in range, 46% battery. We are 12 minutes away from getting into Clarens, 15 kilometers to go, and a projected arrival state of charge of 42%. So as expected, definitely gained some range going through the slow passes of the Golden Gate Park and just enjoying the scenery. And with that, gained some additional range. So fantastic to do that. I'll check in when we get there, but so far, so good. I've just arrived here at the AC charger, going to plug in just now, just top up the battery. This was the complete trip, 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers used, total distance of 393 kilometers, 94 kilometer per hour average speed, and a total usage of 84 kilowatt hours. So I'm going to do some numbers with that, just in terms of how much that actually cost in terms of the trip. And I will report back on that, but that was the total energy usage from Johannesburg to Clarens. Overall, an excellent journey in the EX90, 43% battery left, and when we left Thanda Tau, it said we would actually arrive with 36%, if I recall. So we've actually gained another 7% in terms of range, and that was really because of the regenerative braking that we actually managed to get. Just started the charging session here at the AC charger outside the Protea Hotel in Clarens. It's a 22 kilowatt charger, but the EX90 AC charge speed is at 11 maximum, so it is taking what it can. 42% projecting a 90% charge level reached by 8:47 p.m. So that's a good chunk of time. That's about 5 hours of charging, probably 55 kilowatt hours going in. Makes sense, but I'm not sure I'll leave the car here that long. So it's day 2 here in Clarens, and I've just put the EX90 earlier on this morning onto its second charge session. Yesterday, the first charge session took the charge level from 42% up to 56%, but it was starting to get a bit dark, and I felt let me take the car off charge last night and bring it back onto the charger this morning. Anyway, we put the charger on this morning at 56%. It's now up to 79%, and it's projecting that it will be concluded in about an hour and a half's time. So I've run through some calculations and some numbers for the trip here from Johannesburg to Clarens, and I'm going to share those with you now. When I charged this vehicle up to 100% before leaving Johannesburg, I was able to do 50% of that charge off a free solar source. So that first 50% of the trip effectively was free. It cost me nothing, just in terms of the cost per kilometer. So with the battery being 111 kilowatt hours, 50% of that means that 55 kilowatt hours will actually be free in terms of the trip. Now the total trip energy used was 84 kilowatt hours, which means that only the remaining 28 kilowatt hours is going to be a direct cost for the trip. Now considering that we actually stopped to do a DC charge at Thanda Tau, that 28 kilowatt hours is the equivalent of 209 Rand, because the cost per kilowatt hour at a DC charge station is 7 Rand 35. So the actual cost of the one-way trip from Johannesburg to Clarens in the EX90 was 209 Rand 50, which means the equivalent cost per kilometer is around 53 cents per kilometer for this EV. If you do a comparative exercise for a petrol vehicle the size of an SUV like the EX90, let's be lenient and give it an average liters per 100 kilometer consumption of 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers. That means that you're going to be able to do around 10.2 kilometers per liter. If you take that 10.2 kilometers per liter and you work out that for 393 kilometers, you're going to need 38.5 liters of fuel to drive that distance. Multiply that 38.5 liters by the current petrol price of 21 Rand 30, the equivalent cost is going to be 822 Rand for that one-way trip in an equivalent petrol vehicle the size of an SUV like the EX90. That works out to 2 Rand and 9 cents per kilometer versus the 53 cents per kilometer it cost me in an EV. So already you can see with smart charging, if you can do this on solar to start with, you get a huge gain in your first leg of the trip. I will do an equivalent calculation for the return trip and then show you the overall travel costs for both scenarios. But I can guarantee you right now, it's still going to be way cheaper to have done this road trip in an EV than it would have been in a petrol vehicle. Okay, we've just finished charging up the EX90 now to 100% at this AC charger. It took just over 4 hours. I put in 51 kilowatt hours today, and I put in 18 kilowatt hours yesterday. So in total, about 69 kilowatt hours loaded into the car. This is a AC charger, so the cost is 5 Rand 88 per kilowatt hour. So in total, that was 400 Rands worth of energy put into the car. And the range added to the car at 22 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks is around 320 kilometers. Okay, it's day 3 here in Clarens, and we're about to make the trip back to Johannesburg in the Volvo EX90. I've got the Volvo charged up to 96%. It's showing a range of 430 kilometers. The total distance from here back to Midrand is 354 kilometers. So no doubt there would be no problem in driving all the way back on a single charge. When I get to Thanda Tau, it's telling me that I should arrive there at 61%. I'd imagine probably I would arrive at about 65%. I'm going to do a DC charge top up to 80% again in that 15 to 20 minutes that we're going to stop. And then we're going to get going again and get back into Johannesburg from there. So I'll give you an update as we go along. See you on the road. Okay, so we are just under 30 kilometers to go to get to Thanda Tau, which is the next DC charging stop. Battery percentage at the moment 69% with 300 kilometers of range remaining. On the screen here, projected state of charge at arrival at Thanda Tau is 62%, so it's gone up a little bit as expected. We've had a fairly standard drive on the N5 from Bethlehem onto the N3 now. Very easy cruising. What a pleasure to drive. EX90 is doing a lot of the autonomous driving for me. And I think we have no problem in getting to the station and doing a quick top up. So see you there. Alright, we've just arrived at Thanda Tau. I've just plugged in the DC charger here. It's a 100 kilowatts Rubicon station. The charge speed is sitting and stable at 75 kilowatts. That's because I think when I started charging it was at 63%. You're not going to get maximum speed of the charging capability if you're over 60%. I'm now up to 69%, 10 minutes left to get to 80%. More than enough time just to get that extra boost of range. No need to stay here longer than that. And yeah, we'll be on our way pretty soon. The charging session is now finished. We've added 21 kilowatt hours of energy in 17 minutes of charge. Average speed of us around 75 kilowatts. We're now up to 80% and we're good to go. Coming into Joburg, got about 50 k's left to get to the destination. Battery level at the moment 41% with 170 k's remaining. I've got 50 k's left to get to where I want to go, and the projected state of charge has been static at 30%. Now I just wanted to point out just a bit of an experiment here. I've been setting the cruise control on the stretch from the Thanda Tau station at about 118 k's an hour. It's averaged 108 kilometers an hour, but just have a look there. The average consumption is 26 kilowatt hours per 100 k's. Now if I compare that to the time since we started the trip, it's at 24 kilowatt hours at a lower average speed because the initial section on the N5 was a bit slower. So it just shows you the impact that average speed makes on consumption. If this was sort of at 105 k's an hour, I think I could get this to around 22 kilowatt hours. But the moment you go over the 110, 115, up to 120 kilometers per hour average, if that goes up, then definitely you're going to pay the price in consumption. So it's all about the way that you drive. It's all about the pattern of driving. It's all about judging the distance and the range that you have left if you really want to get the most efficiency. But fortunately, I think the EX90 has got so much range that it will reward you. If you drive conservatively, you will get over that 600 kilometer per charge mark. But even if you do want to drive normally, and when I say normally, at the speed limit of 120 k's an hour on a road trip, you will still get potentially 500 kilometers of range out of that single charge. But with enough charging stations along the way, it's not something you're going to have to worry about. This has truly been an effortless drive in the EX90. And when we get to the destination, I will wrap up the trip in terms of some numbers, and that will be that. Right, we made it back to Johannesburg. What an absolutely effortless drive. Fantastic experience driving this EX90 on a long distance trip. As you would expect from a premium segment car like this, the suspension, the comfort, the luxury, everything is in there. Notwithstanding that this is an EV, as a vehicle itself, Volvo have done an exceptional job in creating, I think, their flagship and their luxury option for the premium SUV category. So, what were the numbers? Well, when we left the charging station at Clarens, I got up to 100% and it had dropped down to 97%. just because we'd done some driving around town. But effectively over the 2 days, I had added in 70.2 kilowatt hours of energy into the EX90 before departing. Now that was an AC charger, so the price per kilowatt hour is R5.88. So 70 kilowatt hours times R5.88, the total cost of energy put into the vehicle at that point in time was R413. So we left this morning with 70 kilowatt hours of AC energy added into the vehicle. So when we arrived at the Thanda Tau station, I put in 17 kilowatt hours of DC charge at that point in time. But here's the thing, the entire trip required 85 kilowatt hours, of which 70.2 kilowatt hours I'd already loaded from the AC charge station at R5.88 per kilowatt hour. That means that the difference of 14.8 kilowatt hours came from the DC charger at Thanda Tau. That 14.8 kilowatt hours is another 109 Rand at R7.35 per kilowatt hour. So the total cost of the trip back was the original 413 Rand from the AC charger plus the 109 Rand from the DC charger, making the total cost 521 Rand to go from Clarens to Johannesburg in the EX90. The total distance that we drove was 365 kilometers. So 521 divided by 365 gives me an average cost per kilometer of R1.42. So what about the entire trip now, there and back? So remember, the first leg cost us 209 Rand. The return trip, 521 Rand. The total trip, 730 Rand. Now that 730 Rand divided by the total distance of 758 kilometers means that the cost per kilometer for the entire trip was just 96 cents per kilometer. And that just shows you how important it is to set off with a preloaded solar charge if you can. The savings you can get are immense. So how might that compare to an equivalent size SUV that is powered by petrol? Well, we've done some calculations there as well. And basically a vehicle of the same sort of class, same segment, 7-seater, would probably need around 10 liters per 100 k's to get down there and maybe 12 liters per 100 k's to get back. If that's the scenario, the cost going down, that car would need around 39 liters at a cost of 822 Rand, and coming back, it may need around 44 liters at a cost of 939 Rand. The total cost then being around 1,760 Rand, and if you take that over the total distance, the average cost per kilometer is around R2.32 versus the 96 cents that the EX90 was able to achieve, which just shows you the considerable savings that you can get if you drive smartly with a vehicle like this. So that wraps up my test with the Volvo EX90. Simply one of the most premium vehicles that I've had a chance to drive, and certainly one of the best EV that I've had the privilege of driving. In all categories, in terms of technology, comfort, luxury, suspension, performance, economy, I've found it to be superb. Thanks for watching this video. It's been fantastic driving this car. Hope you've enjoyed the findings that I've enjoyed explaining, and I'll see you on the next one.